In the endless ocean of stars and where galaxies drift like islands in a sea of darkness, two suns burned with molten fire. The twin giants of the Corian system blazed across the void, their flames spilling into eternity. And orbiting those blazing titans was Solera Prime, not just a station, but a city among the stars. Its towers stretched for kilometers, spires of alien steel fused with living crystal, veins of energy glowing within them like rivers of light. It was a fortress, a beacon, and at its very heart stood the most sacred chamber in all known space, the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council. The hall was unlike anything imagined by mortals. Tier upon tier of balconies rose higher than mountains. Holographic banners shimmered in the air, each bearing the sigil of one of the 200 civilizations that made up the Union. The atmosphere itself trembled, with voices that clicked like machinery, growled like beasts, sang like choirs, and thoughts that struck directly into the mind, telepathic and alien. Here in this chamber, history was shaped. Empires rose and fell by the words spoken within these walls, and today, a decision of life and death was to be made, not for one world, not for one star system, but for the survival of the entire Union. At the very center of this vast assembly stood a figure who seemed utterly ordinary, a human, Alan Drake. He wore a sharp black suit, the kind diplomats once wore on ancient Earth. A crimson tie glowed faintly under the crystalline lights, and in his right hand he held something absurdly simple, a glass of amber whiskey. The sight angered many. It confused even more. On one balcony, a being of liquid methane bubbled furiously, releasing sharp bursts of gas. On another, a crystalline delegate vibrated in jagged tones, their translator spitting out contempt. Fragile, weak, soft. This represents Earth? The whispers spread like fire. No claws, no armor, no venom, not even a shield to protect its flesh. Then from the highest dais a voice roared, a voice feared across the stars. Ambassador Gerak of the Vurax Dominion. His body was a fortress of black scales, each plate gleaming like steel. His golden eyes burned with a predator's fury. He leaned forward, claws scraping against the railing as he spoke. "Are you joking?" His words dripped with venom. "This soft creature dares to stand in this chamber of titans? Earth sends this to represent them? A species of water and bone? No armor, no claws, no shields, nothing but flesh destined to break." The chamber erupted with mocking laughter, growls, hisses, cold amusement. But Alan Drake did not move. He took a calm sip from his glass, adjusted his crimson tie, and spoke, his voice steady. "That's correct, Ambassador. We are nothing more than flesh and bone." Silence spread like wildfire. Every glowing, crystalline, burning, and mist-formed eye turned to him. "But we possess one weapon. None of you can measure." He raised his glass slightly. "We never give up." The words hung in the air like a spark waiting to ignite a storm. The Proxima Corridor. Drake placed his glass down on the podium. With a flick of his hand, a vast holographic map flared to life, blue light flooding the chamber. At its center pulsed a narrow passage, a cosmic artery of unimaginable importance. "The Proxima Corridor," Drake declared, "the passage that binds us all, a lifeline of trade, a corridor between galaxies. If we lose it, the Union fractures. If we secure it, peace remains possible." Delegates stirred uneasily. Some nodded gravely. Others whispered accusations of fear-mongering. Drake's voice grew firmer. "Earth stands ready to protect this corridor, but we cannot do it alone. We ask this council to vote. Stand with us, or surrender the galaxy to chaos." The chamber exploded with voices. Alien tongues clashed. Telepathic screams battered the air. And once again, Gerak rose, eyes blazing. "Stand with you? You are infants playing at war. When the storm comes, you will shatter and drag us all into the void with you." Drake smiled faintly. "Or perhaps," he said softly, We will be the storm. The shadows move. Before debate could continue, the lights dimmed. The crystalline walls vibrated with a low, unnatural hum. Delegates turned in alarm. What is this? A power failure? Impossible. Solara Prime does not fail. Then it began. Figures slipped out of the shadows. Masked assassins, their cloaks bending in and out of reality. Plasma rifles hissed in their hands, glowing with lethal green fire. The first shot seared across the chamber, a beam of plasma narrowly missing the head of a delegate encased in liquid. Panic exploded. Creatures screamed, fled, or unleashed frantic bursts of psychic energy. Dozens of assassins appeared, surrounding the hall. Their rifles spat fire. Security barriers shattered. The Grand Hall, supposedly the safest place in the galaxy, collapsed into chaos within seconds. One assassin leveled his weapon at Alan Drake, but Drake did not run. He did not cower. He adjusted his red tie, and from the tie pin, a transparent dome of energy burst outward with a sharp hum. Plasma bolts slammed into the shield, scattering into dazzling sparks. Delegates gasped in disbelief. The fragile human stood calm, protected by a barrier of light, as death reigned around him. The fight for survival. Drake dropped his shattered glass to the floor. From his briefcase, he drew a black rod. He twisted its end, and with a crack of blue electricity, it expanded into a humming carbon staff. The first assassin lunged. Drake spun the staff with surprising speed, arcs of energy slamming into the attacker's chest. The assassin convulsed and collapsed. Another came from behind. Drake pivoted, shield absorbing the plasma shot, then brought the staff crashing down. Sparks flying as he disarmed the killer. The chamber roared with terror and awe. Creatures of fire, mist, crystal, and ice watched the human fight like a predator cornered, but unbroken. Then from across the hall, one assassin produced something far worse than a rifle. A glowing sphere. A gravity bomb. Its light pulsed, twisting the very air around it. Space itself warped. Sound bent. If unleashed, it would tear the chamber apart. Delegates, assassins, Drake, all consumed in an instant. The assassin raised the bomb higher. Its glow grew brighter. Time slowed. Every heart froze. Drake's eyes locked on the weapon. He tightened his grip on the staff. Calm, focused, unshaken. And as the bomb pulsed with deadly light, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. To be continued. This was no simple assassination attempt. This was something far greater, a shadow war hidden beneath diplomacy. A strike meant not only to silence humanity, but to fracture the entire Union. And at the very center of it stood Alan Drake, to be continued. In the Grand Hall of the Galactic Council, silence had just begun to settle. The delegates of 200 alien civilizations shifted uneasily in their seats. The lone human, Ambassador Alan Drake, had delivered words that struck deeper than any weapon. He had reminded them of something they had all forgotten, that even the weakest among them, flesh and bone, could endure where empires might fall. But just as the chamber began to breathe again, the air itself shifted. The lights dimmed. The crystalline walls shimmered unnaturally. And then, boom! A sudden blast ripped across the chamber floor. Shards of crystal rained from above, scattering in every direction. Panic erupted as screams and guttural roars filled the hall. The council was under attack. Figures emerged from the smoke, slender shadows clad in living armor, their bodies rippling like liquid metal. The assassins of the Veyron Order. Their weapons crackled with plasma light, each strike humming with deadly precision. They moved not as individuals but as one, a hive mind unleashed upon the most powerful gathering in the galaxy. "Protect the council!" Voices shouted in dozens of languages. Guards rushed forward, but the assassins cut them down with blinding speed. Energy shields shattered. Cries echoed. Chaos consumed the hall. And yet, one man stood still. Alan Drake, the human, the outsider. Calmly, he straightened his red tie, his glass still in hand, as though the storm around him was nothing but wind. Then, he moved. Drake's security detail sprang into action, black exosuits gleaming with Earth's most advanced combat tech. Their weapons roared, unleashing bursts of electromagnetic fire designed not to kill, but to disrupt the assassin's hive link. One assassin lunged toward Drake, its blade raised high, only to be intercepted by a crackling pulse from Eliza Corrin, Earth's lead scientist. Neural implants glowed across her temples as she unleashed a wave of disruptive code, crashing into the assassin's hive network. The creatures staggered, their movements glitching, their unity broken. For the first time, the galaxy saw assassins falter, but the attack was far from over. Works, the massive warlord of the Torak Union, thundered forward, his claws tearing through the air. With a roar that shook the chamber, he struck one assassin down, his massive frame shielding smaller species from the onslaught. Beams of energy, plasma bursts, alien war cries. The chamber became a battlefield unlike any other. And through it all, Alan Drake did not retreat. He stepped forward, his voice, steady, commanding, cut through the chaos. Counselors, stand your ground. These assassins want us divided, but together, we are more than prey. His words carried like fire through dry fields. Ambassadors who had once sat as rivals now rose side by side. Energy whips cracked, bioweapons hissed, and delegates of civilizations that had warred for centuries suddenly fought shoulder to shoulder. For the first time in memory, unity was born not from treaties but from survival. And then, just as suddenly as it began, it ended. The assassins, sensing the battle turning, retreated in synchronized waves. Their bodies dissolved into liquid shadow, slipping back into cracks of space as quickly as they had come. Silence fell once more. The council chamber lay in ruins. Crystal shards glowed faintly in the dim light. Blood, alien and human alike, stained the floor. And the question hung heavy in every mind. Who had sent the assassins? Who dared attack the most sacred gathering in the galaxy? High Counselor Eleanor's voice trembled with fury and grief. This is not an attack on one species. This is an attack on us all. But even as her words echoed, suspicion filled the chamber. Eyes turned toward the humans, toward Drake. Works, the Torak warlord snarled. His voice thundered like a storm. Convenient, isn't it, that assassins strike the moment the human speaks of unity? Perhaps this was their plan all along. The chamber erupted again. Accusations, threats, fear. The fragile spark of unity began to flicker, ready to die. But Alan Drake did not flinch. He stepped forward, his calm voice once again cutting through the storm. Fear is the assassin's true weapon, he said. Not their blades, not their shadows. Fear. And if you give in to it now, then they have already won. His eyes scanned the room, every alien eye locked on him. You can choose suspicion, division, war, or... He raised his glass, still miraculously unshattered in his hand. You can choose to fight back, together. The chamber fell silent. For the first time in centuries, silence did not mean fear. It meant consideration. In the aftermath of blood and fire, something had changed. The assassins had come to kill unity, but instead they had planted its seed. Alan Drake had stood, unbroken, in the heart of chaos. And though many still distrusted him, none could deny what they had seen with their own eyes. The galaxy was no longer the same. The game had changed. And in the shadows, the conspirators who had sent the assassins realized their plan had backfired. Instead of breaking the council, they had made the lone human more dangerous than ever before. The council chamber was no longer a symbol of unity. What had once been a shining beacon of galactic order now looked like the scarred remnants of a battlefield. Cracks ran through the crystal walls. Sections of the ceiling sagged under the weight of damage. Pools of alien blood shimmered on the reflective floor, each hue telling a story of another life wounded, another life lost. The assassination attempt had failed, but its purpose had already succeeded. Fear, distrust, division. These things now hung in the chamber heavier than smoke. Alien voices overlapped in chaos. The insectoid Shorak chittered angrily, their mandibles clacking like blades. The scaled warriors of the Torak Union bellowed accusations. Energy-based beings flickered with unstable light, their forms dimming with agitation. "Who sent them?" one delegate shouted. "The assassins could not have crossed security without inside help," accused another. And finally, the most dangerous whisper spread through the council like fire through dry grass. Was this the work of the humans? Alan Drake stood at the center. His black suit was torn at the shoulder, where a plasma bolt had grazed past. His red tie hung loose, the faint energy shimmer still pulsing from the hidden shield device embedded within its pin. Dust clung to his shoes. His glass of drink, miraculously, remained unbroken in his hand. He did not shout. He did not argue. He simply stood, silent and calm, as the storm of fear raged around him. Because Alan Drake knew, silence could be louder than any speech. When the session finally broke into chaos and adjourned, Drake left the chamber flanked by Earth's security detail. Their exosuits gleamed black and sharp, weapons at the ready. Yet even with them, the corridors of the council felt heavier, darker. Beside him walked Dr. Eliza Corrin, Earth's lead scientific envoy. A brilliant mind wrapped in futuristic robes, her cybernetic implants glowed faintly with soft blue light. She spoke in a low, measured voice. "They're turning on us, Alan. One counselor accuses another. One world blames the next. But somehow, all roads point back to Earth." Drake glanced at her, his face unreadable. "Fear always points to the unfamiliar. We're the newest species here. Easy to blame, hard to defend." Eliza shook her head. "No, this is more than fear. I ran diagnostics on the assassins' control signals. They weren't working alone. They were guided." "Guided?" Drake asked. "Yes, their neural patterns were being remotely stabilized. Without it, they would have collapsed mid-attack. And the technology used to stabilize them." She paused. "We want was council grade. Not black market, not pirate. Council." Drake stopped walking. His security team shifted uneasily. His calm voice cut like steel. "You're telling me someone inside this council orchestrated an attack against itself?" Eliza's implants flickered as she whispered the final confirmation. "Yes, and only high members have access to that technology." That night, in a dark chamber far from the public halls, Alan Drake activated a secure channel. His tie pin shimmered again, not as a shield this time, but as a transmitter. A holographic projection flared into the air, unstable and static-filled. The face of Karen Voss appeared, blurred, half-hidden in shadows. She was Earth's intelligence director, a woman feared even within her own government. "You saw the council today," Drake said calmly. "The assassins failed, but their true goal is succeeding. They've planted suspicion, the council is fracturing, and someone inside wants it that way." Karen's voice was distorted, cold and distant. "Not someone, many. The galaxy is a chessboard, Alan, and assassins are just pawns. Behind them are fleets. Behind fleets are merchants. And behind them, the counselors themselves." Drake's jaw tightened. "You're saying the council is eating itself alive?" Karen leaned closer through the static. "I'm saying this attack was not the end. It was only the first cut. And the deeper wounds are coming." The hologram faded. Drake was left alone in the dark, his glass of drink reflecting faint light. For the first time, his calm mask cracked slightly. Not in fear, never in fear, but in recognition. The game was far bigger than even he had imagined. The following day, the council reconvened, but now order had truly collapsed. Delegates shouted over each other. The Torak Union demanded military retaliation against suspected enemies. The crystalline Vayari accused Earth of manipulating events for influence. The insectoid Shorak threatened to withdraw from all treaties if justice wasn't immediate. The chamber shook, not from weapons, but from words. And words could be sharper than plasma fire. Alan Drake stepped forward, his suit repaired, his tie perfectly adjusted, his glass steady in hand. His voice, calm but commanding, sliced through the noise. "Yesterday we bled together. Torak blood, Shorak ichor, Vayari light, even human flesh. Different forms, Same pain, same fear. That is what the assassins wanted, to make us believe we are separate, to make us fight their war for them. The chamber went silent. Eyes, dozens, hundreds of alien eyes focused on him. Drake continued. You want vengeance? Fine. But vengeance on whom? You want truth? Then search for it together, not apart. Or else, the assassins have already won. For a moment, the chamber quieted. For a moment, unity seemed possible. But beneath the stillness, mistrust still grew, like cracks in stone. Later, in private quarters, Dr. Eliza Corrin unveiled her latest findings to a small circle of Earth's allies. A glowing hologram appeared above her hands. Nanobots repairing a damaged alien DNA strand, cell by cell. Delegates gasped. These nanobots, she explained, can heal wounds once thought permanent. They can rebuild life from within. They are proof that humanity is here not to destroy, but to preserve. Some delegates were astonished, others were skeptical. And in the corner, Works of the Torak Union snarled. His massive form loomed over the others, his scaled fists clenching. Lies, he roared. Technology this powerful is never created for peace. You humans claim innocence, yet always bring weapons hidden as gifts. Drake did not flinch. He met Works's glowing yellow eyes with calm defiance. Perhaps, but sometimes a shield looks like a weapon, until it saves your life. The Torak warrior growled and turned away, but his anger spread like wildfire among his allies. Far from the chamber, in a place no counselor dared speak of, shadowed figures whispered in secret. The human grows too bold, one hissed. He is turning weakness into strength, another growled. He must be broken before the council unites behind him. The shadows agreed, plans were drawn, and in the silence of their conspiracy, one truth became clear. Alan Drake was no longer just a delegate. He was now the key to unity, or the spark of total war, and every power in the galaxy had chosen their side.